Yet Christ exhorted, "Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping, like," interesting in this parable, all 10 brides were sleeping. "And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. Therefore is therefore a reason, because we do not know when he could come. He could come at any time." And when I watch the Middle East, and I watch particularly Israel, and the events more specifically as of late that are taking place in the Middle East, it tells me that the second coming of Jesus Christ is even at the door. And if I know that the rapture of the church of Jesus Christ comes before 7 years before the second coming of Jesus Christ, then how close are we? I submit to you that we are so close that it has captured the attention of even the likes of none other than CNN. Just in the last couple of weeks, Paul Azan had a series on the events in the Middle East, and it was entitled, "Is It the End?" She had many guests on her show, on her segment, on her Is It the End segment. But interesting, she had Joel Rosenberg, who will be speaking at the Calvary Chapel Costa Mesa Prophecy Conference, on her Is It the End segment. Now, Joel Rosenberg is a staunch believer in the pre-tribulation rapture. And on Paul Azan's Is It the End segment, he said, quote, "The rapture will happen first, then the Antichrist will rise to power." Now, on CNN, they went through a teaching much like the teaching that we find ourselves in Matthew chapter 25 about the rapture. And it's a period when saved Christians are taken to heaven. And interesting, it could happen at any time. And he talked about the tribulation, that after the rapture, we'll have this period of war and suffering, and it will last for 7 years. And this is when the Antichrist comes to power. And then you have at the end of the tribulation, the Battle of Armageddon that takes place in the valley of Yezreel, or Megiddo, where we get the word Mageddon or Armageddon, and it's the final battle of good and evil. And the world as we know it is destroyed. And then there's a time of peace. It's the millennium. It's the millennial reign where Jesus Christ will reign and us with him on earth, and the earth will be in its pre-fallen state as it was before Adam and Eve fell. And at this time, Jesus will rule the earth with us, the bride, those raptured. Then on CNN, Greg Beck, interesting. This was on July 26th, on his nationally syndicated radio program, said, quote, "Here it is. Let me give you the setup. Some people believe that the Antichrist could come from the EU because in Daniel, the prophecy talks about the 10-horned beast." Church, this is CNN. And I don't know that Greg Beck is a professing believer. But isn't it interesting that those watching CNN are watching what they are watching, which is the Middle East, which is what Jesus told us to watch. Why? Because if we're watching the Middle East, and particularly Israel, as God's prophetic clock, it will show us and ready us, because we know that if that second coming of Jesus Christ is close, then the rapture is even closer. Greg Beck goes on to say, quote, "But there is a guy that in 1999 was appointed to see over the foreign and security policy of the European Union. They had a document that created his position. The guy has a genius IQ. He's the author of 38 books, kind of came out of nowhere. Pretty powerful guy. Everybody likes him. He's very media savvy. He's on the cutting edge. He's the bright up-and-comer of the European Union. He's playing a big role in from what I understand, in the Middle East this week. His name is Javier Solana. Greg Beck, CNN, not a professing believer. He goes on to say, now, there were two things that happened in 1999. He was appointed with a document that created his position. Out of 1,100 of the documents from the Council to create his position, the document number that created the role of the Union in the World Section 1 of the General Report was bill number, document number 666. Yes, in 2000 he was given emergency powers with recommendation 666. This is over CNN, seen over all of the world, and they're talking about the Antichrist, and is it the end, and the coming of Jesus Christ. Well, at the end of this segment, Greg Beck ends by encouraging people to Google these things about Solana for themselves. And he says, look him up, do your homework, follow him, well-respected guy, most likely not the guy, Javier Solana. I'm hoping that the Antichrist isn't even alive, close quote. I heard him ask someone else on another segment, do you believe the Antichrist is still alive? Or is presently alive right now, and about ready to come on the scene? And he's asking all these people on all these programs. I think it's pretty interesting. Well, another interesting news article, you might have caught it again on CNN. This key Republican breaks with Bush on the Mideast. He's out of Nebraska. Senator Hagel calls for immediate ceasefire. This was on the 31st of July. And the article says, quote, he called on Bush to name watch this, a statesman of global stature, as his personal envoy to the region. And he urged the administration to open direct talks with Hezbollah's backers, Iran and Syria, both of which Washington also accuses of meddling in Iraq. What would cause a key Republican out of Nebraska to break with his party and come against Bush and demand that the administration appoint a, quote, statesman of global stature? Who do you think he has in mind, I wonder? Well, interesting. Here's the answer. This is from back in December of 2003 out of the European Institute, an immediate press release with the headline, "We cannot fail the world." Listen to this. On December 16th, the European Institute presented the Transatlantic Leadership Award to Senator Chuck Hagel. Senator Hagel has been an outspoken proponent of the need for good U.S.-European relations. Dr. Javier Solana, Secretary General of the Council of the European Union and High Representative for the Common Foreign and Security Policy, came from Brussels to present the award. Dr. Solana stressed that unlike some who have recently doubted the value of the enduring U.S.-European alliance or questioned the existence of the common values and interests, Senator Hagel admits publicly that the transatlantic alliance is irreplaceable. Speaking on last Friday's meetings of the European Council on the European Constitution and the adoption of the first European security strategy, the Solana Doctrine, he stated that the EU's message to the U.S. is very clear. We want to be partners with the United States, and we are determined to attack the root causes of the ills befalling the world of today. In his remarks, Senator Chuck Hagel stated that the EU's strength and determination to advance a common foreign and security policy, which has frightened some American policymakers in the last few years, is a positive development for both Europe and the U.S., making up the most important alliance in the history of mankind. These great threats that we face today will not be met by, achieved by, nor won by one nation.